Hello, this is Josh Larimer for AIA Colorado. We have with us Reed Kroloff. Reed has distinguished himself as an educator, until recently the director of Cranbrook Academy. He is the former editor of Architecture magazine, and he is a prolific speaker, commentator, proponent of architecture, and he is currently principal at Jones Kroloff. Thank you for joining us, Reed.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Now, I just rattled off the Reader's Digest version of your CV. I'm sure everyone there is much, much more. It occurs to me that any one of those positions, you could have settled in for a long and satisfying career. I'm wondering why you didn't. Like, why you keep moving?
I just keep getting fired everywhere I go.
Right, you're on.
I'm on a roll. I'm on a roll for no permanent employment. You know, it didn't happen according to plan. Much as other things are in life, things just occurred in ways that I didn't expect them to, and opportunities arose, and I took advantage of them when they were there. And I have always attempted to make sure that where I can, I keep pushing the agenda forward, and often that takes different paths. And so the gig with the magazine grew out of being a writer while I was in Arizona. That ended because the magazine got sold to a company that ultimately shut it down. And I knew it wasn't going to survive, and so there wasn't any, they didn't have any interest in making it survive. Mm-hmm. And so I had another opportunity to go on to Tulane and be the dean there. And ultimately, whilst there, I was approached by Cranbrook, and Cranbrook is Cranbrook. No architect or designer turns them down. And so that came along, and it was a fantastic 7 years there.
Great. Is there anything else that you want to do? Like, what is there? Other things on your bucket list you want to get into?
I want to rule the world.
Sure.
That's happening next. Yeah, there are a number of things. I mean, I've practiced on one of the things that I've wanted to do, which is to work with architects and their clients to help them come together better. It's such a weird way that most people find their architects. Honestly, we survey people on this all the time, and they'll tell you things like, "Oh, we just opened the phone book and found them in the yellow pages," and you're thinking to yourself, "Really? So how did you find your heart surgeon? Same way?" So we really try and close that gap and bring folks together with the kinds of firms that we believe they'll have a good chance of having an excellent relationship.
Now, it seems like the crucial first step there is educating a potential client who might not even know that there is a proper way to engage an architect. Like, how do you even get to that part of it?
You know, that's great. That's actually what started the practice, is talking to someone one day who was looking for an architect for a very significant project. And it was pretty clear that they didn't know how to go about that. This was a smart, interesting client, but they hadn't chosen an architect before. It just wasn't something they had done. And they came to us through recommendations. This is how we actually opened the firm. We weren't really doing that then. And we walked them through the process. And having done that with them and then a few other folks, we began to realize that there were certain things that was clear people just didn't understand or didn't really know where to go to find information. And we began to gather all of that together for them and use a series of processes that we thought would help smooth the process. And experience now has shown us that those are correct. That we were correct.
Now, from the other side of the table, how can we as architects find the client without, I mean, most of the clients I've dealt with, you engage with through word of mouth or previous projects or business associates. Is there a way to kind of close that gap from our side through, I don't know, how you go about that?
You know, it's a very tricky thing. Of course, references are a great way to meet clients. They're not a good way to run a practice because it's accidental. Yeah. And I think architects have learned over the last really 10 to 20 years, the power of marketing, the power of research, the power of getting out through public media and making themselves known. That's part of marketing. And are doing it in a way that they never did before. You know, there were prescriptions against any of that in the professional codes of conduct, because we were not to be seen as a group of people who sold their services. We
Right.
were professionals. And we live in a new world, and that's all gone by the wayside. And that sort of understanding, it's easy to see how those things are inherited from earlier generations. But I think a lot of architects now have become quite sophisticated about it, and about identifying markets that they believe are appropriate for their particular practice strengths and pursuing those markets. And that's a very big part of finding success. Another big part of finding success is one of the reasons that one of the things I'm going to be talking about at your conference, which is how to talk to potential clients. It's surprising to sit through architect interviews on big projects and see how many of them simply don't know how to move through an interview process in a way that's convincing to someone who's going to potentially drop 20 or 30 or $100 million onto a project.
Right, absolutely. What's one simple thing that we miss that we could be doing better beyond just sort of basic communication skills?
One that I routinely land on people is to stop using architectural jargon when they speak. Other people don't refer to windows as fenestration, and they don't know what that means. And they're going to look at you like, what? So jargon, we are in a profession that is jargon rich, jargon laden, and you have to avoid it. Speak in simple, plain English.
That's a novel idea.
Yeah.
Well, Reed, you're going to be at, as you said, you're going to be at this design conference, and that is October 9th, if I'm correct, in the afternoon. So we certainly encourage everyone to come out to see you. It's in beautiful Keystone, Colorado, and there's many eminent personages, including Mr. Reed Kroloff. We look forward to it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Take care.